Mark had gotten rid of most of the screens in his apartment, and he'd gone back to listening to the radio and looking out his window. But because everyone else was sitting in their apartments doing the same thing, it was like a whole street of Jimmy Stewarts staring back at him. So he sat with the blinds closed. A lot had gone, like supplies. On the upside, a lot of things had come back. BIRDSONG in the city centre. That's welcome. Still the pigeons. There was no fast food discards anymore, so the seagulls had pissed off to bully the people of the burbs and were replaced by starlings or sparrows. His mother would know. She had taught him all of the names, but he'd forgotten. You could hear the river now, and not the endless monoxide stream, two ways, two flows of traffic from the quays. That's gone, that's good, he thought. The God Save the Queen and Depeche Mode singing shite bags that ruined his evenings, that had gone too, and that was brilliant. There was marauding gangs of teens on bikes, 2 wheels short of the madman apocalypse he'd been promised. All of the end of days reading he'd done left him with no idea of what to do in this situation. He supposed they weren't how-to manuals, so... Mark thought that the teenagers on the bikes seemed to be communicating in some new Ridley Walker-inspired Dublin patois. Are you getting his dinners from the chippers? Yous maybe getting his masks on. Then again, he's 4 floors up and hard of hearing, and the schools had only been shut for a month, no 2 months, no 4 at this stage, he was sure. That's not enough time to create a new Dublin dialect. The neighbours, the Brazilian English language students, they were nice to him, and they baked him Brazilian type cake things. He didn't know the name, and they'd invited him to their parties. He used to think that they thought he was lonely. They were right. They'd up sticks and legged it. They were terrified. 12 to a gaff. Hopefully they got out safe. 8 apartments in his building, but only 3 occupied. No more Airbnbs, no more rack rents. One time he heard landlords crying in the hall to each other about their only form of revenue they could socially distance and fuck right off, and the tourists they smuggled along with them. They'd upturned our lives, he thought, when there was someone else here. She's gone too. At first he was happy. At first. There's still the French students downstairs. He could hear them coughing. Is it one of them smokers' coughs or the, you know yourself cough? Either way, they're not locking their lungs down. He could hear doors slamming as they went up and down freely. His anxiety along with it. Temple Bar's own typhoid Marie's. The hallways were a live area full of coughs, vapour, rollies and joints that blew back up the stairs from the door that opens onto the street. The toilet roll was low, and that was bad. That meant going down into the weed smoke and miasma and running the gauntlet to the shops if they were still open. The radio said 5 G's were amassing for an illegal protest on Westmoreland Street in defiance of professional line steppers. He didn't want to walk into that. That would be not good. He'd have to go up to the Dublin fella with the mad accent. He'd avoided him for years. He's a familiar, but an odd one. Hey, I'm Mark. I live downstairs. Let me guess. Toilet paper. Well, what are you doing knocking at me door for? We're neighbours. I live downstairs in number 4. Yeah, the little anxious weirdo that lives below me, yeah? Yeah, you don't know me, yeah? This block, it's not a cup of sugar type stop, so if you need that, you need to pop to the market. It will provide. What do you mean, like in general? No, the fucking corner shop, you hipster tick. What do you want? Right, well, 1, I was wondering, is your water still running? And 2, do you have any toilet paper? 1, water. No. It's not running, but I have a bath full though and a lot of bottles. 2, loo roll, yes, of a little bit. You see, I seen all of this coming. Like the people shouting on Westmoreland Street with the placards talking about the impending fall of our society brought to you by 5G. Trying with a will outside the window. Don't worry about them fills. That's only a blip. You need to worry about the long haul. Are you like me? Have you been gathering? Are you ready? You're like a prepper. Wrong question, but yes, I'm the none now, I am. But the real question that you need to be asking yourself is, how did this all begin? Well, see, what I want to know is if there was like a ruler of a little small principality somewhere, Clondalkin, let's say, who, on the advice of a local oracle in the local... It was obvious to Mark that the man seemed mental, but he really needed the toilet paper. And in order to do so, the man would have to like Mark. But he couldn't help but feel there was maybe a certain universal truth to what he was saying. He had obsessed about Joseph Campbell's A Hero with 1,000 Faces in college and pretended to his friends that he had read it 1,000 times. He was no epidemiologist, didn't understand human physiology or infectious diseases and how they were spread. But he worked in IT. He understood data. How hard could it be? Technically, he didn't have medical training, but what he didn't have, he could make up for in confidence. The confidence of being a man. Yeah. Could be. Seems like a legit explanation. Look at you there, with your gloves, which don't work by the way, and your stupid mask, which you took off the second I opened the door to you. You're never gonna last. Do you have family that you're trying to protect? I left them. Back on the farm. To be? IT. And data, kind of. IT. God, he hated even saying it. He chose IT because his most vivid memory from his youth was his uncle on a farm he once visited, turning to him fresh from birthing a lamb and pointing a finger at him covered in amniotic gloop and saying, "The real money is in computers, nephew." That memory wasn't real. That memory had been corrupted in some form. His uncle, an informal man, would never address him in such a formal manner, like he was an orphan foundling being given money from a previously unknown, mysterious rich uncle in a doorstop wedge of a novel written by some Victorian prick. You know that internal monologue you have? Yeah? It's not that internal. I can hear it. Wait, you can hear me? The fuck is this? The iPad version of the Neverending Story? You can hear that. I can hear it. The voice of the internal narration, who was also both writer and actor of this overblown, slowly unfolding car crash of a project, Emmet Kirwan, alright, had taken to referencing to himself in the third person, wanker. He had, through his own greed, wrote, directed, produced and cast myself, into this piece, consequently writing myself, into a corner. I had created not a digital novella, film, play, short film, theatre hybrid, story within a story, or even a play within a play, or a single actor duologue within a monologue, or a patchwork quilt of writing cliches and shite I gleaned from the writing guide for dummies. He, who was me, and not you, was flipping from first to third and even second person narrative, whatever that was, and he was starting to think that maybe he couldn't go back in time and not have taken the commission from the Abbey in the first place, Ireland's National Theatre. Thinking he'd made out like gangbusters with the actor's fee by cheekily being in it himself. As a workaround, he was contractually obliged to give the fee to an editor. What? Listen to this prick. Thinks he's Charlie Cotton. You know I could just kill both your characters off, yeah? Sorry. Continue. Right. So about that toilet paper. Yeah. Maybe, going forward, we could, hang out. They stood there, these two men separated by a floor, close but atomised, both in the cells. He could see through dislocation as he said this, and on me through disassociation. Are you doing poetry? Yeah, what the fuck is that shit? Well, technically it's inner voice or, narration. But I suppose when there's a certain amount of prosody, then, you can call it like spoken word. Well, stop it. Yeah, just stop. It's really awful. Don't ever do that again. Sorry. So, about that post-apocalypse cup of tea. Nah. You see, in the new world, the meek, I don't think you know what meek means, will inherit this new land. And those who look down their noses at me will be looking up now as I sit on my throne of toilet paper. So, I'm going to have a pretty busy schedule in the new world order. Okay? Enjoy the fall of Dublin. You look familiar. Like looking in a mirror. Is it? Yeah. They say meeting your doppelganger is a shadowy harbinger of doom. ultimately, you're on your own, kid.